Hi everyone, I'm Cedric. Just 2 weeks ago, I received news that I was about to be retrenched. This is a real shock to me. I've been with this company for almost 8 years and thought I was doing well. I just turned 45 earlier this year. I'm really feeling lost and not sure what to do next.
Thanks for clicking on this short video. This is an extraction from a longer video of a workshop. The link to this longer video is in the description below. There, we discuss other facets of the same issue discussed here. Do take a look too.
So Cedric is in a situation where he doesn't feel very good about himself. Because why? He's been told that he's going to be let go. Right? He's experiencing a lot of negative emotion because he's been told that he's going to be let go. He's going to be let go. Right? So if you look at it, what does it mean to Cedric when he is losing his job? What is the impact for him as far as job loss is concerned? Okay, anxious, shock, financial security, uncertainty, no more active income stream, confidence loss, sense of helplessness, loss of income, self-doubt. Yeah, all right. So if you look at it, it means essentially he's not going to have a steady income. He's going to lose his income, right? But the other two, identity and purpose, is something where people don't really consciously think of, but I have to highlight this. Okay, what is this loss, this identity? Imagine if you are someone who has been in that job or in that role for a long time, right? And you lose that job. Imagine if someone comes to you and says, Cedric, what do you do? And suddenly you know that you're going to lose your job. Cedric can't say, oh, I'm an accountant. Why? Because, his identity was tied to his job. Very close. And it's very natural, especially for people who have been working for a long time in that same role, in that same company. Right? So it's a loss of identity. The other thing is about purpose. You may start feeling, what am I going to do? What is my contribution? How can I help other people now, as if he's thinking that way? Okay, so it's a loss of purpose. A loss of purpose. In my dealings with clients, these two notions of identity loss and sense of loss of purpose are very, very real. And sometimes it takes a lot of effort to sort of try and resolve this. Okay? So many of you mentioned feelings. He's scared. He can be angry. He can be confused, anxious. He can be very irritable. I just want to sort of share with you this is something that you might be familiar with. Okay, is the grief cycle by Kubler-Ross. Okay, so there is the first step, which is the sense of denial. The sense of denial, right? When you first hear something, then you say, no lah, this cannot happen to me lah. What is this? Why is this? No, it can't be real. Okay, how do we get over this? This is where you start looking at getting more support for the feelings that you're having. Okay, look after yourself. Okay, allow time to process. How much time varies according to each individual's ability to cope with that sense of denial. Right? I had a client later on, which I'll share with you, Mr. Tan, who by the time he came to me, he actually spent 1 whole year going through a sense of denial and anger. Right? Many people cope with it differently. Anger, very common. When you receive bad news, especially when in terms of job loss, you get a sense of injustice. You feel, hey, no, why is this like this? Cannot be. You are being unfair. Right? Those of you who have experienced a job loss, especially retrenchment, yes, that happens. Okay? How do we deal with this? Sometimes it's about how you control your emotions. Right? Are you going to let it overcome you, or are you going to manage it? And you manage it in a more constructive and positive way. Right? Many people tend to use this opportunity to go and do some physical activity that allows them to vent, okay, or some relaxation technique. Okay, allow some relaxation technique. Okay. The third stage, bargaining. Here you're trying to find out, why is this happening to me? I did okay. Is there somebody else also in the same boat as me? So you start reaching out to somebody else. You want to share your story. Okay. Here is really probably the beginning of the up cycle, as you can see from the diagram. Okay. You acknowledge what's happening. You focus on what you can control, what you can influence, and then you also continue to seek support because you want to move ahead. Now, there are some people who are stuck in this area, right? You are depressed, you're overwhelmed, you feel helpless. I remember I had a client who was so stuck in this, right? He basically used that as a major excuse for not going out to find a job. Okay? He was very hostile to anybody who was actually working. He said, why should you be working? Right? I have done my job. Why am I not working? Why are you working? Okay. He then went into a sense of being overwhelmed to say, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. Okay? If you are stuck in this area, the best thing that you can do is really seek professional help. Okay? Or if you don't need that, some people have gone through just some self-care activities, look after yourself. But at the end of the day, you need to recognize that you are not alone in this. You are not alone in this. You need to seek support. Okay? Acceptance is basically the step on the verge of moving forward. Here you are looking at, hey, okay this has happened to me. What can I do moving the next step? Okay? What can I plan for? So you focus on what you can do as a present, what you can do in the future. Okay? And how can you maintain the progress itself? Okay? If you want to take a picture of this slide, by all means do so. Okay. So, one of the things that is very, very important, as you can see from what we did with Mary, is really making sure that we recognize the feelings involved when we are undergoing a change as dramatic as this. Okay? So we have to understand, if you look at the Kubler-Ross cycle, which stage are you at? Which stage are you at? Then you have to start thinking, okay, there's no sense of dismissing my feelings. I have to acknowledge that. Then I've got to do something about it. And usually this takes time. This takes time. Okay? And this is support as well. Okay? You need support. Okay? So that is very, very critical. What would be Cedric's concerns as far as job loss is concerned? Again, in the chat box, you have mentioned this. Okay? What's going to happen to me now? What else can I do? How am I going to find a new job? How is my family going to cope? How is my family going to cope? List down all the concerns that you may be feeling. Okay? So, by doing that, you are dealing with the present. So how then can you move ahead? How can you move ahead? Now, for those of you who have been to my last workshop in June, you will have seen this 5R step that I described in detail. I'm not going to go through in detail here, but I'm going to give you a summary. Okay? I think that's sufficient for you to get a gist of it. If you want to know the detail, you can go to that workshop itself. The link will be provided to you later on. Right? So, 5R approach essentially here is this: a review, redirect, reconnect, reprioritize, and reframe. So what does it mean? What does it mean? As far as review is concerned, look at what the situation is. Okay? Take a look at the perception of yourself to that situation, the perception of other people to you, and what's happening to you. And you look at how your situation is going to impact on the people around you. Now, what do I mean by all of this? Let me introduce to you Mr. Tan. I mentioned very briefly Mr. Tan just now. Okay, Mr. Tan is a very long-standing client of mine. In the past, he came, one of my first clients, in fact. When Mr. Tan came to me, he actually lost his job. He was actually jobless, unemployed for almost close to a year. Okay, And he had very big difficulty trying getting over the hump to move forward. So when I went through with Mr. Tan these 5R steps, okay, this is the first thing that he mentioned. He basically realized that, his behavior actually influenced and impacted people around him, especially his family. Okay, what he had to do then was to refocus and say, what am I good at? What am I good at? What are my strengths? But more importantly, remember this one was about 8 years ago. He had to look at the notion that being retrenched is not something personal. Okay, the company had to do something in order to survive. Right? There were other people that was affected as well. So retrenchment is not something. So, I arrow Mr. Tan. He had to recognize that as well. Redirect. What do we mean by this? You have the energies because you've been working for so many years and suddenly you're out of work, you still have a lot of energy. Okay? How can you redirect those energies? You redirect them into your health. You redirect them into other areas that may be interesting to you. Okay? So as far as Mr. Tan was concerned, he focused on his own health and his own family. He was a biathlete in his younger days, so he revived the interest, activity, physical activity. He was a CFO at that time. Then he started looking at fintech. At that time, 8 years ago, fintech was very, very new. Okay? So he started looking into the area. So he was redirecting his energy because he had time and he had energies. Connecting again, reconnecting. Apart from connecting with your family, your loved ones, this is your chance to connect up with other people in your circle, your society, okay? Connected with what's happening in the environment, in other words, the marketplace, especially the market that you want to go into, or even the market that you are currently in, have been in. Okay, so Mr. Tan, he started focusing on rebuilding his network. He started looking at rebuilding family bonds, right? When he was working, he was so focused on work, he didn't have time to look beyond his immediate family. This was the time that he had. As a CFO, he started looking at, hey, how can I establish myself again in the CFO community? And because of his interest in fintech, he started looking at new circles, people who were also jumping onto the fintech bandwagon. So new circles. Reprioritizing. Really looking at what's important. Now, many of my clients, you may experience it too, many of my clients, when they have been working for a long time, they are established, right? They tend to think that, hey, work is important for me. Everything else is secondary. Okay? But when they lose their work, this whole sense of purpose, sense of identity becomes more important now. Okay? So, start looking at what's important to you. Start looking at what you can do in terms of activities. And sustainability is what? Sustainability is trying to look at what sort of time horizon do you have in terms of your current status. Okay, so as far as Mr. Tan is concerned, for example, he looked at his family, he focused on his family, he restructured his finances. Okay, so he started saying, I cannot go through the same financial outlay that I've been doing, so he re-looked at the things that he had to spend on, he could spend on. Okay. He started looking at learning more the in-depth views about fintech. He started taking courses, okay, and he developed very healthy habits, not only physical habits but also eating habits. Reframing, re-looking at things in a different way. So, silver lining, we all know what a silver lining is. What can we learn from these experiences? Right? How can we regain our confidence? As far as Mr. Tan is concerned, one of the biggest positive he gained during this period, that he now had the flexibility to do a lot of things that he never had time to do. Okay, he was able to look at new circles, new networks, and by associating himself with a new group of people, and by rebonding himself to his family, his current network, he began to feel more confident in himself, right? Because he knows, there are people out there who still believes in me. Okay, you can't do this alone. This is something, confidence in yourself, for majority of us, comes from how other people see us. Okay, so that's what Mr. Tan did. If you want to take a look at the overall and take a screenshot of this, you can do so. So let's deal with this moving on first before we go for a break. Okay? Yeah. So what are the possibilities for Cedric? What are the possibilities for Cedric? He could enjoy his free time. Definitely, especially if he's financially still okay. He can take time off, take a sabbatical. He can apply for a same job in the same industry, or he can go for a totally new career path, right? Or he can do his own business. He can do his own business. So those are things on the table for him. Those are the things available to him, right? You may have the same options and possibilities, or you may have something extra, right? This is very particular to your situation. So what can Cedric do? What does he need to do? What does he need to do? Well, like I mentioned earlier, he has to acknowledge all the feelings that he's going through, right? Review his financial status, right? How long can he last given the current status? Look at what his value add is. What are his strengths? Know the marketplace, what's going on in the market. When he builds relationships, new networks, right? This is an opportunity for him to expand on his personal brand, telling other people what is he good at, so that he can attract opportunities. Family support, friend support, whatever support you need, develop that support. Okay, you need a support network, right? In the chat box I saw, you never walk alone, right? We should never walk alone. Right? What help do we need? Well, Cedric could say, I need some help in terms of planning, the structure. Maybe you go for a career coach. Financially, if he feels that he needs some help financially, maybe he can apply to the Ministry for Social Affairs for some welfare help. Okay, so again, this is very particular to your situation or to his situation. So this is the overall picture in the CMP for Cedric. Okay, so you have dealing with the present, what is happening with him, okay, and how he moves ahead after losing his job, right? How does he bridge this to this? Is by going through the 5R process that I mentioned earlier. So let me do a quick summary of this section on Cedric and coping with unexpected changes. Okay, so here we use the situation of a job loss to illustrate how we can cope with unexpected changes. Essentially, we're saying, again, same thing with Mary, deal with the present. What's happening with you? Okay, what does it mean to you? What are the feelings that you are going through? What are your concerns? Recognize those. Don't ignore them. The worst thing you can do is saying they are not important. They are very, very important. You can use the 5R process I just described. Okay, I find that it helped a lot of my clients. Not only that, it also helped me. Moving on, the same process of looking at what's possible for Cedric, what's on the table for him, what he needs to do, and what sort of help he needs.
Losing my job has been tough. I must admit I was very emotional and angry. But I know I need to move forward and plan for the next step. I need this, and my family needs this too. They have been worried for me, but I'm glad I have people who I can lean on. When I consider my options, I feel better that I have other possibilities to pursue. Now I need to take action.
Hi! Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you've seen and can't wait for the next one, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel in the link below. See you soon!